The number of younger people getting diagnosed with dementia in this country, that number is growing. A study done by the Alzheimer's Society of Canada predicts that by the year 2050, look at the number on your screen, more than 40,000 people under the age of 65 will be living with dementia. When you compare that to the 28,000 people living with dementia in 2020. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who is a neurologist at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center, is here to talk about what early onset dementia really looks like and what to look for. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me for this important topic.
It really is important. When I say early onset dementia, what exactly are we talking about?
So dementia really means memory and thinking difficulties that interfere with a person's day-to-day functioning. And this is usually a change from previous and is progressive. Now, when we think about dementia as a class, we typically think about it in people who are older, but early onset means onset before the age of 65, usually between the ages of about 18 to 65.
18?
Can be pretty young, yeah.
That has to be rare, no?
It is quite rare. So early onset dementia as a group is less than 10% of all causes of dementia. But the interesting thing about it is that it really spans a bunch of different causes. So we typically think about things like Alzheimer's disease, which would be the most common cause in older people and still is a very common cause in younger people. But there's also many, many other causes of dementia in young people.
So for those that get diagnosed early, what are some of the symptoms?
So the symptoms can look similar to the older onset, but there are some important differences. So the main symptoms are cognitive and thinking difficulties, so things like memory problems, language problems, difficulty with finding your way in space. There can also be personality and behavioral changes. There can be motor changes, so things like Parkinsonism. And what separates early onset or young onset cases is that these tend to be all clustering at the same time. In older cases, these can come on kind of more slowly over time. In younger cases, these can be very fulminant and sometimes look pretty atypical, making the diagnosis harder to make.
I bet. Do we know why some people get dementia earlier in life than others?
It's a good question, and I would say overall, we don't know. There are some things we do know, so your family history and your genetic risk play a role. About 5% of early onset cases are genetic in cause. And then there are also some lifestyle factors that can influence your risk. So things like your exercise level, your vascular risk factors, so like high blood pressure, cholesterol, things that are controllable, so how well you control those. And then things like substance use, alcohol misuse, acquired brain injuries, those can all impact your risk of developing dementia at an early age.
If you're diagnosed in, let's say, your 40s, how long until the disease starts to really impact your life?
Yeah. So every person is different and every story is different. And so some people can have pretty rapid courses, and on a whole, a young onset dementia group would have a more rapid onset. So those impacting your daily functioning, impacting your relationships, leading to divorce or loss of romantic, family and friend relationships, breakdown of your ability to perform at work. So these can be really catastrophic diseases in terms of your ability to function in your prime of life.
You know, doctor, I was thinking when I was prepping for this interview, if I found out in my 40s, that would I want to know if it wasn't affecting my whole life? Because I'm thinking, like, is there anything I can do about this? Is there anything anybody can do?
Yeah. So it's a really important question that as a whole, it has very different answers. So there are some causes of early onset dementia that are reversible and treatable. When we think about the degenerative causes, there aren't cures for those, but there is a new horizon of what we call disease-modifying therapies that have been approved in the States, some that are coming to Canada, that can make an impact on the treatment of these diseases. Right now in Canada, the focus is on symptomatic therapies, so the same type of therapies we use to improve people's memory and thinking in older people. And then we also support and treat things like behavioral symptoms, personality changes, motor symptoms with targeted treatments. And I'll just add that in this age group, it's so important to also look at the non-pharmacological treatments, so really supporting patients and their families who are going through a crisis at a really critical point in their lives and really require the support of a system and a broader healthcare system.
Yeah, the full support, full circle. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, thank you. Such an important topic.
Thanks
for
so
being
much
here.
for having me.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.